Imani Washington, an exceptional 8-year-old and one of the few Black students at Westlake Elementary, was brilliant but quiet. Her intelligence and reserved nature often made her a target for subtle and not so subtle racism. Her mother, Dr. Elise Washington, was a high ranking federal agent who kept her job a secret to protect her daughter. One day, a popular student, Tyler, falsely accused Imani of stealing his electronic tablet. Officer Blake Mason, a school resource officer with a history of targeting minority students, immediately cornered Imani in the hallway. Without bothering to investigate, he slammed her against the metal lockers, causing her to fall and hit her head. Blood trickled from her nose as her body crumbled to the floor. The assault was witnessed by a few students, but only one teacher, Miss Torres, a young Latina woman, stepped forward to help. She quickly used her phone to secretly record the incident, knowing that Amani's word would not be enough. The school administration, led by Principal Whitaker and Superintendent Jenkins, immediately tried to sweep the incident under the rug. Principal Whitaker brushed off the assault as a necessary disciplinary action. Meanwhile, Officer Mason claimed Imani had been combative and he had to use force to restrain her. However, their plan was derailed when Miss Torres called Imani's mother, Dr. Elise Washington. As the director of a top secret presidential protective unit, Dr. Washington was used to dealing with threats to the nation. But hearing that her daughter had been assaulted sent a controlled fury through her. She immediately left a high level briefing and, accompanied by a team of federal agents, arrived at Westlake Elementary. Her presence and her federal credentials sent a shockwave through the school staff. She made it clear that this was not a simple disciplinary matter, but a federal investigation into civil rights violations. After Dr. Washington took her daughter to the hospital for a full evaluation, the school and police officials quickly launched a coordinated effort to discredit her. They released a manipulated version of the security footage, editing it to make it appear as though Imani had been aggressive and had initiated the contact. The public narrative began to shift, questioning if Imani had been at fault and if her mother was using her federal position to bully the school system. The officials' plan seemed to be working. Miss Torres was fired from her job, and other teachers who initially supported Imani's story were pressured into changing their statements. Dr. Washington was even placed on administrative leave and had her security clearance suspended, cutting her off from her resources. The system was closing ranks, and it seemed they were going to get away with it. Just as all hope seemed lost, Dr. Washington received an anonymous tip. The message contained a simple but crucial detail. The original, unaltered security footage was still stored on a hidden server in the basement of the school district's administration building. The whistleblower and IT specialist was risking his career to help. Armed with this information, Dr. Washington worked with her legal team to secure a federal warrant. In a coordinated operation, her team accessed the server, finding not only the original damning footage, but also emails detailing the entire cover up, including specific instructions to manipulate evidence and threaten witnesses. The truth was finally coming to light, proving that the conspiracy went all the way to the top. While the federal investigation was underway, Imani faced another difficult test. Despite the bullying from her peers, she insisted on attending a student forum. Stepping up to the microphone, her small voice shook at first, but with each word, she grew stronger. She told her story not as a victim, but as a person who had been failed by the adults who were supposed to protect her. She spoke for every child who was afraid to speak up when they were treated unfairly. The video of her speech went viral, inspiring people and creating a new wave of support for the Justice for Imani movement. Her quiet dignity was more powerful than any lie. Her courage, coupled with the new evidence, completely turned the tide of public opinion. The new evidence exposed a full-blown conspiracy that went far beyond Officer Mason. Dr. Washington's legal team, led by a top civil rights attorney, gathered more testimonies from other students who had been targeted by Mason. They also found internal memos that showed how school officials had been systematically dismissing discrimination complaints for years. The coordinated cover-up fell apart. The police union, sensing the shift in public and legal pressure, withdrew its support for Mason. Faced with overwhelming evidence and the threat of federal charges, the officials involved, including the police chief, the superintendent, and the principal, were forced to cooperate with the investigation. The system that was meant to protect them was now turning on them, unable to withstand the truth. The day finally came when justice was served. Federal agents arrested Officer Mason and the corrupt officials who had helped him. The arrests were broadcast live on the news, with the desperate Mason even attempting to flee before being taken into custody. The legal proceedings were swift and decisive. With the original video and a mountain of other evidence, Mason was convicted on all counts and sentenced to a lengthy prison term. The officials who had orchestrated the cover-up received their own punishments, including professional disbarment and prison time. The story of Imani's case had sent a clear message. Abuse of power would no longer be tolerated. In the end, Imani's case created lasting change. The school district implemented a new set of policies known as the Imani Washington Protocol, which mandated body cameras for school resource officers and established strict guidelines to prevent racial disparities in discipline. Ms. Torres was reinstated to her teaching position and given a new role as the head of an equity initiative for the entire district. Imani was no longer the quiet girl who tried to be invisible. She had found her voice, and it was more powerful than she could have ever imagined. She went on to create a student group to help other children who face similar issues, showing them how to stand up for themselves. Dr. Washington, inspired by her daughter's courage, left her prestigious government job to create a foundation dedicated to protecting minority children in schools. Amani's story proved that even in the face of immense power and injustice, a single act of courage can change the world.